It's now time to dig into all things NFL free agency. We have NFL writer from The Ringer and The Ringer NFL show, Ben Solak. You, my friend, are one of these sick pups who probably knew Devin Hester ran a 4.41 and wore tennis shoes back in the day because you are so into the nitty gritty.
I just looked at the YouTube video. He is officially 100% wearing tennis shoes. And I appreciate the fact that Devin Hester, like every athlete before him, insists that he's faster than his 40-yard time would indicate. He was cooking, man. I'd like to give all my time to Devin Hester for the rest of the show. He's
amazing. And congrats to him. We're looking for future Hall of Famers, right? We're looking for these future guys, prospects in the draft, free agency, all of that. You cover the entire NFL, little sweet spot. Little bigger space in your heart for those Philadelphia Eagles. They somehow get CJ back, which is amazing. Loved seeing that. I guess you can come home. That's amazing. He was a huge part of their 2022 Super Bowl team. Considering they were unable to get a deal done last offseason, how did this happen?
Right. I think that Chauncey went to Philadelphia in the trade from the Saints with the hope of increasing his stock in the league, right? He played a lot of slot corner for the Saints. He wanted to be in the true safety market. He was there with the Eagles. He had a bunch of interceptions. They go to the Super Bowl, and then he goes to check out the market, and it just wasn't as robust as he and his camp thought it would be. There was frustration with the offer the Eagles initially gave him in 2022. So he signs another one-year deal, another prove-it deal with the Lions, and then misses most of the season. And so at this point, like, Chauncey's still young, but he's kind of tried to build a big market for himself and just never really found it. So he goes back to Philadelphia where he was previously successful. There's clearly a starting job for him. He's with Vic Fangio, one of the best DCs in the league. Has been great for safeties over the course of his career. And it's a 3-year, $33 million deal. It's probably a lot of funny money. It's probably more like a 1-year deal, and then there's some options afterward. I think Chauncey's going to continue to try to build his stock and cash in on a safety market that's seeing a lot of guys get paid recently.
I love it. I just want him up against Debo. That's all I want.
He's so fun.
Just amazing. Love the two of them. Okay, Saquon, you got to be happy about that. Eagles add him, that's great. But when it comes to adding in the offseason, all of this, keeping in mind the great collapse of 2023, it's going to be written about in history books and studied by our youth. What have been moves that you liked the most so far, and what else needs to get done?
Yeah, so the addition of Bryce Huff, I think, is really interesting. This was a highly efficient pass rusher with the Jets. He was a rotational player, designated pass rusher, came on the field a lot on third down. This is a classic Howie signing. This guy was efficient on a small sample. Expectation is that he can get a bigger sample and he can remain efficient. This reminds me a lot of when Trey Hendrickson left the Saints for the Bengals. You know, he'd kind of been in a rotation, good first step. Is he really going to be a full down player? And the team acquiring him thinks and hopes that he can be. That move is important because it really increasingly feels like the Eagles are going to move on from one of Hassan Reddick or Josh Sweat, who were their starting defensive ends from last year. And you talked about that collapse. One of the biggest issues for the team down the stretch was their entire defense is predicated on having an elite pass rush, and that pass rush vanished across the board. The edge rushers weren't getting pressure. The interior guys started to fall away. Jalen Carter kind of, vanished for a bit. Fletcher Cox getting up there. He vanished for a little bit. And so they clearly feel like they need to revitalize that defensive line because a Howie Roseman team is always going to be built on pass rush. Bryce Huff is a representation of that, but Huff's probably going to be a 3-down player because the Eagles might move on from one of Reddick or Sweat.
Now, let's leave the Eagles alone here for a second. I mean, I just learned more about them than I've even focused on them this entire offseason. Ben, you're amazing. You can check out all of your stuff over on The Ringer,
Thank you.
where you somehow just know everything about every team. So let's talk about another one that's looking for the next quarterback. The Patriots, they say Mac Jones, see ya. They signed Jacoby Brissett back. There's a lot of the theme of this whole offseason is like interdivision is fine. Let's trade and sign people from interdivision. And then also let's bring guys back. You posted this message, Justin Fields and Jaden Daniels in New England. Why is this a good plan?
Yeah, it was before they signed Jacoby.
Yes.
I liked Justin for that. I do think that the Patriots are soon enough to potentially make a quarterback pick at 3, right? You've seen them be really involved in the wide receiver market. They've been talking to Calvin Ridley. I think that they're trying to get established pass catchers in place, right? They re-signed Kendrick Bourne. They extend Hunter Henry. So that way they have the bedrock to develop a young quarterback. They keep Mike Onwenu, who is a guard, tackle, swing player for them. Add Chuk Okorafor. They're bolstering the offensive line. This is the behavior of a team who wants a young quarterback in place. Jacoby Brissett on a 1-year deal gives you that ability, right? To get a decent floor quarterback in there. If the rookie's not ready to start, you can play Jacoby for 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and give that rookie a nice long onboard, a nice long ramp. Who's going to be available at 3? That's a question, right? I think that Sportsbooks FanDuel largely had Drake May as the favorite to be the 2nd overall pick. That has recently flipped. And now Jaden Daniels out of LSU is that favorite to be the 2nd overall pick. If Drake May, the quarterback out of UNC, is there at 3, that's a Patriot through and through. I mean, that is an ideal size, a prototypical build sort of player.
Do we know what a Patriot is for anymore? They're such a wild card. We feel comfortable still saying, that's a Patriot. I don't know. I don't know what the Patriots are.
So when I say that's a Patriot through and through, and I agree with you, right? They're a tough team to get a thumb on the pulse of right now. I'm thinking of Elliot Wolf, who's the new kind of head of personnel there, son of Ron Wolf, who is the grandfather of all those Packers scouting front offices. And if we know anything about a Packers front office, about a Ron Wolf disciple, it's that prototypical size matters. Packers front office guys like big players. All right, big players win football games. Welcome to the NFL. Drake May's big boy, and so to me, like he hits the. He hits the size markers that I would look for, that I would expect for a team that's being run by a Packers-inspired guy. Now, that's reading tea leaves. That's between the lines, right? They had a grading system under Belichick for years that was very unique in their front office. It was specific to his schemes and his systems. That Wolf spoke at the Combine this year, and he said, we scrapped that. We threw that away. Him and Alonzo Highsmith are reimagining how they grade players there. Like, they are changing the way they scout in New England. And so I come up here, up in Adams, and I'm like, I know who the Patriots like, but in reality, I don't, and nobody does. This is a very new approach for New England. I'm excited to see what they do.
You said Justin Fields to New England. They signed Brissett. He's clearly not going there. The market is dry as a desert. Where's Justin Fields going? You heard Hester.
Yeah, I think Philadelphia right now is one of the more interesting spots. Back up Jalen Hurts, the similar skill set. We know that Philadelphia to be a quarterback factory. This is a place where he can grow and he can get development. And Jalen Hurts was a little bit banged up last season. He tends to get banged up because he runs so physically. Maybe that's the spot for him. There's an open backup job in San Francisco, man. You love to be with Kyle Shanahan as a backup quarterback. That's a good boost for you. All right, that'll improve your stock no matter what. I think the team that acquires Justin Fields wants to be able to go 2-2 if he has to play 4 games. So you're thinking of like a contending team that just needs a solid QB2 as a placeholder. And Fields wants to go to a team where just his association with them will lead to a potentially better deal when he hits free agency after this upcoming season. Philadelphia and San Francisco both scratch that itch. So we'll see. But I don't think Fields gets traded anytime soon. The market is so dry that Bears got to wait until the draft comes and goes, see who gets quarterback, who doesn't. Maybe the Broncos get desperate, Raiders get desperate, and you go from there.
Fascinating. One last one for you. We have about a minute left. You're a very fast talker, though. I want to have you on all the time. I like
professional. Come on now.
No, you're amazing. I wanted to get like a USB port and just plug it into you, and then plug it into me, and I'll have a download of all the information. Dallas Crickets, not the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Crickets. Fans are like, do something. I think Devin White should go there. They're like, we're all in. They're giving me sleeping at the wheel right now. What should they do?
Well, what they got to do is they got to extend CeeDee Lamb, who's got 1 year left on his deal. They got to extend Dak Prescott, who's got 1 year left on his deal. They got to extend Micah Parsons, who has 1 year and then the 5th year option left on his deal. The problem is they have so much future money that's not yet tied into stars, but will be tied into stars. And so I agree, they can make moves on the margin. I think Devin White, add a linebacker, add a running back. I think those moves would help. But in terms of big deals, they got to keep the money on the stars that they have to pay.
I was going to ask you who won free agency. Clearly, it's Ben Solak over at The Ringer. Check out his work over there.
Texans did pretty good.
I would like to listen to your podcast on 2X, like I listen to all of mine, because you would sound incredible.
When people tell me they have to slow me down, it makes me so pleased. I feel like I win.
No. Keep it going. I like the energy. I appreciate the information. And thanks, guys. Check out The Ringer NFL show. Of course, you already listened to that.